Hello everyone! Today I'll be working on Wrath again. Probably finishing him up. Did a little bit of work off camera, mostly just like fine details and stuff, but oh, and I completely redid the horns. They look much, much better now. Other than that, let me check out how everything sounds. Alright, I think we are all set. Sweet, I still got spooky music going. Fitting the vibes. Let's get my own music going, because as cute as the spooky is, I have my own spooky music. There we go. Oh, and I'll plug in my laptop now. I always forget. Haven't had it die on live stream yet, but I mean, it's only a matter of time. I have a new chair. It's much more comfortable, but the wheels are bigger, so it requires much scooting around to reposition it. Alright, let's get this rolling. Hey, Clute, what's up? Or Epic Adventure, of course. Sounding good. Volume music is good. Hear you perfectly. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Alright, sweet. So, this is what we got. This is going to be the grand finale for 31 Days of Spooky, but I'm also starting a new project called The Seven. So I'm going to make the 7 Deadly Sins as cool models, pretty much. It's probably going to be a Kickstarter project, and I'll probably make the stretch goals, the 7 virtues that complement them. But I don't think that the 7 virtues are as cool as the 7 sins. We'll see. I think if I like these characters enough, it'd be fun to make, you know, their character foils to them. We'll see. But for now, this guy needs a pose. I'm going to do a little bit of preparing before that, because it looks like I'm at many points. So I'm going to put this at all low, just to kind of see what we're looking at, to see if it's ready to be posed. ZBrush is feeling a little slow right now. It's probably because of the body. The body's at like 5 million points right now, because I keep adding more and more detail to it. Also, some of these pieces can just be merged together for the sake of posing. Like these horns, I'm not going to do a whole lot with them, the shoulder pads. And since they're separate poly groups, I can always split them later if I need to. The pose on this guy should be pretty mellow, actually. I plan for most of the focus to be in the hands. I'll probably make those fingers longer. It's going to be mostly posing the fingers, I'm betting. Oh, here's the base for the horns when I reworked them. I just took a tube brush, kind of tapered the ends. Happy with the shape, and then I committed to that shape with full detail by using the tutorial. It's on YouTube by Anna or Carolina. I can't remember what her name is. Super nice. If you type in how to like make really good horns, she comes up like right away. It's a super good video. This is where that horn starts as. You just make this little tube and then you use bend curve and you magic. It's very cool. Really quick though, I'm gonna open my activity monitor because ZBrush is feeling a little bit slow. I might have some sort of process creeping around in the background. When Clute mentions, still probably a fraction of the polys compared to mine. Don't even tell me that. Use less. I always give him a hard time. He is also a fantastic artist and uses a lot of polys. Makes really detailed stuff. His style is much more like, I guess you could say like sculpty. He does hard surface really well too, but I don't know. It has such like a handcrafted feel to it, which requires a lot of polygons usually because there's so many fine details in that. All right, let's see what's going on. Every now and then OBS kind of creeps up to 60 FPS and I'm like, stop that. We're a-okay with 30 FPS. Don't need to be crazy here. Yeah, we're all looking good. All the polys. Absolutely. Alright. We're all set. I'm not too worried about it. Worst case scenario, I can just restart ZBrush if I think it's being really funny. I really don't have that many polys right now. At my grand total is 7 million. Which again, I think almost entirely is the skin. Yes, that's it. 5 million at its highest resolution. Alright, I also want to get a little bit of better lighting before I keep going with this. There we go. Just something that's a little easier to see, a little more interesting. Looks like now that I've complained about ZBrush being slow, it's back to being pretty snappy again. There we go. Alright, so let's get this pose going. I'm going to use a Transpose Master for this. Doing one last look at all of my groups though to make sure that I don't have any that are unnecessary. Like I don't need the horns and the skull to be separate pieces. Oh yes, the little weird swish head that's in there. I still have the entire base mesh body here. Have you seen how Shane Olson deals with polygon management? No, I have not. If you don't mind, I would love if you'd tell me a little bit about it in the chat. Alright, let's bring up Transpose Master and get this going. I do have a rig that I use that I like, but with something like this, it's not going to be a very elaborate pose. It's not really necessary. So one thing that I know I want for sure is I want this head to be tilted down as much as possible. Not even just for 3D printing purposes, though that is kind of a bonus, but I think it'll kind of give this more intimidating... See what I mean? Look how much spookier that is with him looking down. I might elongate the face a little bit to make that work. And I'll be going back and forth between perspective on and off. As of now, I have perspective off. Alright. I'm going to push these arms behind him a little bit and bring his shoulders up. Using Mask Lasso, I always find it's a little bit faster. And then Epic Adventure says, instead of Dynamesh, he does Remesh by Union. Yeah, I use that quite a bit as well. It depends what it's for. If it's like at the very, very end, how I post-process for 3D printing, that's what I use exclusively. I used to use Dynamesh when I didn't know what the difference was, and yeah, like you lose all of your detail and you spike your poly count at the same time. It's like the worst of both worlds, pretty much. In my actual workflow, though, I rarely use Remesh by Union. Unless I'm actually merging parts, I guess, which does happen every now and then. Alright, I like this. I do think the hands are a little bit small, as I mentioned before. Let's see if I can just stretch them out a little bit. Yeah, it looks nicer. I don't think I'm really going to want to break symmetry too much, which is unusual. Usually that's my go-to as I change the hips and shoulders, which I probably still should do just a little bit. So I will try that. That little goofy head that's in there. Goodness. Alright. Gonna mask this and just put like the smallest little tilt. Clute, do you have any fun projects you're working on right now? My big stuff right now is finishing 31 Days of Spooky. This is the last model for that. And then rolling into the 7. But I also have a Cursed Forest project I'm working on too, which is, I just have some earlier live streams about that Moss Queen I'm working on. Epic Venture says, I think Moonlight Minis and Titan Troll both merge visible and then merge by union. Yeah, pretty much. That's almost exactly what I do. It's just the fastest way to do it. You know, it's funny, I feel like a year ago, if you mentioned these creators, I would just immediately know who you're talking about. I've been so kind of focused on my own little world. I have like my friends in 3D, and then outside of that, I don't really pay attention to who else is out there right now. Alright, one of these arms needs to be more interesting than the other, I think. I also think some sort of hunched back would be nice to this. There's a couple different ways I can do that too. A very, very small shoulder tilt ended up being a good idea, as I figured. Alright, adding a bit of a bend here. And then I'll also straighten this out. And it kind of like implies where his knee is at too. Alright. Quick mention, I finished up a Vecna model. Very cool. Took design elements from Wizard of the Coast Vecna, added some facial features from Stranger Things. Ah, that's a fun little combo. I like it. I have still not watched Stranger Things. I watched a couple episodes way back. I was still in college and never got back to it. The head might be a little too low now, so now we're going to bring it up a little bit and maybe add a tilt. Something, but I don't want this so much to be spooky. I mean, it's spooky, but more, again, it's supposed to be the embodiment of wrath, or how I'm going to be interpreting it. So I still want to look as angry as possible. I think the head tilt still fits with that. I do need to mess with the horns a little bit still. Because they kind of have a flatter back end. It's gonna be nice though. Mario says hello. Hi, I think you're new here, so extra hello to you. Then go back to Clute. Hoping to have a 300mm version in addition to 40mm and 32. Yeah, I never messed with different scales too much. I just offer a no base. I'm like, you want a different scale? You do it. When are we getting a mermaid? I made a mermaid all the way back for my aquatic collection. I did a classic mermaid, and then I also did a selkie, which is like the lore. It's pretty much like a woman turns into a seal. It's pretty neat. She's very cute. Those are both in the aquatic collection, which I did in 2020. Around the pandemic, right when it started. It was like March or April 2020. I think all in all, I have around... Man, I'm probably passing 550 miles at this point. So, there are quite a few. I've probably made it if you ask about it. Gonna mess with the proportions a little bit more. I think the head is still a little bit too large, which is making it look less tall than I'm wanting it to look. So I can either just actually increase the height or I can shrink the head. Let's do both. Let's get the maximum effect. There we go. Looking almost like a cultist right now, which I like. Thank you. Quick mention, even the current come at me bro pose is pretty wrathful, right? That's kind of what I'm going for. I had to read your comic a couple times in my head because I was reading it so like dry, just like come at me, bro. I was like, what? I'm like, no, duh. Like, just say it like a person in my head. And then Mario says, wait, which are the ones that lure sailors towards them and sink their ships? Is it sirens? Yes, and I've done that too. But she wasn't very spooky looking. She was pretty. Also part of the aquatic collection. I found elongating the neck helps with the height. Oh, that's true. I can also push his head up a little bit. Yeah, that super helps. Thank you, Clute. Excellent. Trying to think of any other tweaks to this pose. I mean, it's kind of... This is just kind of what I wanted to do. I think I'm going to give this, bring this arm out a little bit and have it come down a little more. So let's do that. You know, I haven't really talked to you in a while, Clue. I hope things have been well. I just remember you were working on that Kickstarter project forever. That was a big project. Some really, really amazing pieces, too. I feel like you improved as an artist just in that one project. That's kind of what I'm trying to do with the 7, too. I want it to be... I'm really happy with my work, but, you know, I always want to improve. Alright. Yeah, I don't think that was really an improvement to the pose just now. It wasn't bad. It's okay. That's how I am with real life, too. I'm like, what do I do with my hands? What do I do with my arms? Where did they go? I think bringing up the shoulder was a good idea. So I like that initial adjustment. I'm gonna try rotating and kind of see what that's gonna look like. That's kind of interesting, bringing the shoulder out more. You know, I might even not fight how stiff this looks because I do want it to feel like it has a lot of tension in it. And I might even just push the anatomy of it and almost like his hands look like very uncomfortable or broken, which is bringing them up would get that effect. So it says, things have been good. Been trying to find more time to sculpt, but the day job and new puppy have other plans. Oh, I get you. Goodness. I love puppies, but then I get another puppy and I'm like, oh god, this is horrible. But then by the time that your little guy, you know, moves on, it's probably been about 10 years and I forget what a pain in the ass it is to have a puppy. And I end up with a puppy again. We got our pug, Maverick. He is 1 year, he's 1.5 now. So I got him last year. And yeah, you know, it's a puppy. They're awful. They're super cute. But it's like, they're just masterful. It's like, oh, I will find the one thing you care about and eat it. Like, I love Dragon Age, and I have this strategy guide collector's edition. It's just a hardcover. It's not a huge deal, but I super liked this book. I've had it since high school. It's the one that I always use to like play through the game and take notes and stuff. And it wasn't even on the floor. It was like up on a table, and there was a TV remote, which dogs think are delicious as well, and I swear there was like a bowl of chips even, and no, he took this book and he destroyed it, and I was like, oh man, I was devastated. And then I went on eBay and found the exact same book for like 40 bucks, so I was like, okay, I can't complain, it's not a big deal. And then Mario says, question, have you ever thought of making your characters into posing action figures with joints? Yeah, I have. I've looked into it, but it's one of those things where I feel like I would have to have more of a personal interest before I started doing it. Just because it creates kind of like a chunkier look to it by default to have all these joints work well. And I don't know, it's the kind of tinkering that I don't naturally find very fun. And the silhouette's really strong. I'm going to put it in black. Kind of just look at the silhouette here. I forget I have this little thing right here too. Might want to tilt it even more. But I like that I currently have pretty good definition of the hands. I feel like I need to have the cape, not cape, like the skirt come out a little bit more behind him. Flute says, Winnie is all about pushing boundaries. Take her out for 30 minutes to go potty, walk in the kitchen, let it all out while staring you in the eye. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Dogs, yeah. Plus, Resin Prints haven't quite got to the point where articulated action figures work well. Oh, I totally disagree. I have a student that I work with every now and then, and she has an entire business where she specifically resin prints her action figures. She does a pretty good job with it too, and they're all ball joint action too. I've noticed with this new project I'm working on where I'm trying to like really push my stuff to be, you know, the best version of it that I can do. It involves a lot more time just staring at the model. And just being like, how interesting can you look? What else can you do? I'm gonna turn off perspective and then move this back a little bit more. Because again, my priority is always how it looks from the front, but it still is nice. I mean, it is a 3D model. I want it to look good from all sides. I think the chest needs to be more imposing. As of right now, it's kind of like a perfect rectangle. If this design was more like an upside down triangle, I think it would read better. So let's see, how can we do that? I'm going to rotate it to face me as much as possible because it still is pretty symmetrical overall. And then I'm going to mask its upper body, mask all like that. All right. Again, it's gonna make the head larger, so I'll have that issue again, but that's fine. You know what? Let's just mask the head off entirely too, because I really just want to adjust the body. I put so much detail and time into that, and I feel like I'm not showcasing it enough. Just bringing the chest out a little bit, deforming the shoulders. So this is the before and then the after. Just like a small adjustment, I think goes a long way. Yeah, having the skirt drag a bit in the back gives it more stability too. Yeah, it's pretty much gonna be like a old like tube, so it's a lot better than just 2 feet anyway. What if the head was just a little bit bigger? Yeah, it does look a little bit small now. I think I've pushed it that other direction. Might also just be because perspective's turned off. Well, let's just go with like a 5% increase. Before, after. Yep, I like that. Also, oh, it's Natalie. Hello. All right, this is the part where I make my move brush really big. Right when I think the pose is done, this is the tip that I recommend for anyone. You take your move brush and you start pushing shapes and you really exaggerate what this might look like if you were just to push it to the extremes. And every now and then I catch something that I end up liking. Because I'm noticing now when I pull this whole torso up, I'm still liking that more. Now when it comes back down, I'm like, oh, it looks so baby. So I know I want to make this a little bit taller still. I might be able to get that same effect, like what Clute mentioned earlier, just by making the neck taller. I might even move the head over just a little bit so I can like show off like a nice dramatic neck curve. Yeah, that's nice. And it'll look nicer once it's all normal subdiv levels. That's looking pretty sick. Mario says, I actually found your channel through Thingiverse. I printed your Haunted Horseman on a Photon Zero. Was the first thing I printed. It looked great. What? That's amazing. That is so cool. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. Yeah, I have a lot more stuff now, a lot cooler stuff now. My main thing that I do is Patreon. The Haunted Horseman I made a couple of years ago. If you want to see cooler stuff like this, I highly recommend going there. If you want to learn how to sculpt too, I also teach. The top Patreon there is where all the models are, but the bottom one, I actually teach directly. And I'm so glad Zuko did good at the vet. Very good. And then Clute follows up, giving the head some room to breathe will emphasize the height while giving the details in the chest to catch paint. Not even just that, I just want the chest to show as much as possible because I put so much time into it. I don't think the this weird little neck thing is improving the design as much as it did before. I might just end up getting rid of it. I know it looks a little naked right now without it, but we'll figure something out. Alright, I think we're going to go back. See how this looks with subdiv and poly paint all coming together. And no glitches or funny business. That's my favorite. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, I really don't think this little neck thing is helping this design anymore. It was cool at first, but now it's just distracting and weird. Which is no problem, and I didn't spend very much time on it. Same goes with this. These horns in the front, I also don't like. I like the ones on the shoulders, but not these. There we go. Must show as much of the chest as possible, because it looks so cool. Yeah, it's gorgeous. The Maniac's here. Hello. Question, is the thickness on the bottom part final? No, it doesn't even have any thickness right now. It's just a single polygon. So what you actually see right now is like an illusion. If I click on double, which I've turned on, you'll see that it completely disappears. It's just hollow. And then replace the vine around the neck with a chain. Much better. I wonder if the chains could be good on the chest, right? Be some weight, but not covering too much. I think the bear chest looks pretty sick too, because I ended up putting so much with it. But I think I'm going to leave it just the way that it is. It just came out so menacing and cool. Yeah. I am so happy with this model. Looking sick. Alright, time to give this bottom part cloth a little bit more attention. As of right now, it has some detail on it, but not as much as I'm wanting. I think I'm going to leave the chest bare like that. Man, it just looks awesome. I'm so happy with this model. So I need to detail the cloth on the bottom, make the blend between the nails and the fingers better, and this section, obviously, there's a big little seam on it. And then maybe add a chain somewhere towards the... I don't think I'm going to. I think there's no reason to overcomplicate it. And again, the musculature on this is so detailed. I think it really stands alone by itself well. Yeah, really digging this striation on the chest, right? Creepy. I like it a lot. And Mario says, actually I sculpted my own original orc miniature inspired by Warcraft. Very nice. Took some Udemy courses to learn Blender because I can't afford ZBrush. I get you. And he's imprinted and scaled to be slightly bigger. That's fantastic. Very cool. Yeah, anyone getting into ZBrush, I'm like, just go with ZBrush Core. It's $10 a month. Bam. Otherwise, and even better than that, just do the 1 month subscription, or it's free for the first month of ZBrush, and then see if you even use it, you know? Because you can like sign up and then cancel your subscription immediately, so you don't have to worry about getting charged. You get a legit 1 month free. And then just see if you even bother using it, because like, I think a lot of people, you know, they want to try it out and they realize like they don't even have time for it. Today was like the first proper like day of fall. It felt like it's actually really cold outside and it's really nice. And to me, really cold is like 70. But yeah, I think it's nice. Alright, these hands need some love. I'd estimated them just early on, just so I didn't have to deal with it, but now I want some of that resolution back, so I'm going to Dynamesh it. Obviously at a resolution that does not trash it. There we go. Now subdivide once. And now I have tons of polys to work with. And then Mario says, your channel and speed characters are my go-to now. First time seeing you live, I've seen the videos and leave them play in the background while I sculpt. Oh my god, that's so cool. That's crazy for me to hear, because that's what I do when I sculpt usually, and it's just crazy to be that person for someone else. That's very neat. Very cool. That made my week. I'm gonna think about that. Recently I was on Reddit and I commented on someone's work, and they recognized my username. They knew who I was, which I thought was crazy as well too. Sometimes I don't know. I am very much so like a lurker when it comes online. I do not participate in, if I ever see a live stream, I never comment, even if I really like them. I don't know. It's kind of a combination of being shy and just not wanting to put in the social effort, I guess. But anyway, point being. Hey, so as a result, it always feels weird when people know who I am, which is funny, because like, obviously, I'm not hard to find. I have a YouTube channel. I've been doing this for a few years. I've done tons of Kickstarter projects. I don't know. It just still surprises me. It never gets old. Detailing used to be one of the fastest steps for me, because I would use a lot of like automated processes, and now it's my favorite part, and I just take forever. I just take my time. For the first few years, really up until a few months ago, I just focused on creating as quickly as I could, and not to like rush the process and make bad art, but just because I was taking so long to get my ideas into form, and I'm like, it'd really benefit me if I could speed this up. And now that I've sped it up a bunch, now when I kind of take a step back and relax, I'm still producing work very quickly, and it feels like I'm not working very fast. It's been a really, really nice combination. I should probably do the nails more of like a yellowy color. Doesn't really matter. I know they're 3D prints, but it makes me happy. I think the red was a little too on the nose. Like, oh, look how spooky he is. It's like, okay. Oh, I forgot. There's no symmetry on this, so it didn't affect the other hand. Go figure. Not a big deal. All I will do is just hide that. Take this hand. And I will duplicate it. Oh, it has subdivision level, so it's angry. I will duplicate it. Split mask points. Mirror. And I'll stick it on the other side. There we go. If I want to be extra, I can go through and add some asymmetrical details to the hands, but honestly, it's so minor. Unless I am posing the hands differently, it's probably not going to be worth my time. It says, Mia K, it's kind of a big deal. That makes me laugh. What if some red poly paint over the veins? Ooh, I think that'd be fantastic. It's like a little spooky detail. Let me get this hand in place, and then I will do that. I usually have my poly paintbrush pretty much just stuck to get this, to drag rectangle, so it'll actually give me an excuse to use the brush on its default settings. There we go. And then we'll just try it out. And that would be a nice asymmetric detail as well. I'm just gonna do some really light highlights. To make this actually look proper would take too long. But just doing it a little bit is a really, really nice touch. Yeah, that's nice. It almost looks like there's a red light on him. Doesn't take too long to do either. And I kind of have that texture coming up anyway. There we go. Alright, I don't think I'm going to change the body anymore, so I can delete this weird head and hands. And apparently toes. There we go. I'm going to make the necks on all of my models longer after this. Oh my goodness, I am obsessed with it. I remember when I was making the musculature on the abs, I was like, oh my gosh, this has like gone off the rails. It's so inaccurate now. And then I actually looked up some references. It isn't accurate, but it's not as far off as I thought it was, so I think that's why it ends up working so well. Yeah, it's wrath glowing in his veins. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to take an inflate brush, bring the Z intensity way down, and just thicken up the fingers a little bit. Nothing crazy. Just a little bit. Makes a huge difference. There. And then to still get that thin and pointy look, I can just bring the nails out to more of a... Or you know what, I'll just use a pinch brush. That'll make this faster. Not that strong. There we go. Alright, and then let's finally get this this cape going. Since I'll be working on one small detail, I'll actually put this off to the side and put a little screen cap there. Also take down my little ad. Doot. Alright. Now let's work on that. You know, I'll actually take a small coffee break too. Oh, I mentioned in the previous live stream and talking with Natalie earlier that I was all worried about my horse because he was acting weird the other day. And he would not eat his jelly bean treats. It's a big deal, I promise. Anyway, I went out there today and yeah, he's totally normal and he couldn't get enough of them. So he's just having an off day. But it was a relief. So I'm glad that Zuko did great at the vet. My horse is back to eating jelly beans. All is good. And no, they're not normal human jelly beans. I feel the need to specify, but yeah. I was telling my dad that. He was like, you can give horses jelly beans? And I'm just like, okay, I should specify, but like, they just look like jelly beans and smell like them. I haven't tasted them, but they sure do look just like them. They are weirdly big though. I'm just watching my little hummingbird feeder before they all migrate and go away. I'm glad they're still here. Yeah, no, I'm happy about it. I have a super quiet weekend planned and I am really excited about it. Also, I've gotten super into coloring again. Trying to figure out what to do with my free time, and just making more models is something that I do in my free time, but eventually I'm like, I need to do something that isn't just making models 24/7. So I'm coloring again, and it is way more fun than I remember it being as a kid. I don't know, I remember everything we did as a kid, I think like small kid, like first, second grade, I swear you had to then color it, and I hated it. I found it so annoying, because as a very small kid, I actually loved math. That passed quickly, but I remember always wanting to learn more, and it was always like, we're learning fractions. We spent more time coloring in little pictures of pies than we did actually learning the math, and I remember being so offended about it. But now I'm 25, almost 26, and I color again. It's a good time. Oh my gee, are horse jelly beans enormous? I mean, they're like not... Yeah, they kind of are. They're like this big. I guess when I give it to him, I don't realize how big they are, but yeah, it is like 5 times the size of... I could probably fit 5 jelly beans in it. Like normal human jelly beans. Alright, and then now he's talking about Zuko. Zuko had to wear a little tiny muzzle because anxiety. And when the tech brought it out, she had filled it with Cheese Whiz. That's brilliant, which was amazing. Dude, vet techs like that, or just vet offices like that, or keep them, hold on to them. That's amazing. Now I feel the same way. Like, I finally have a farrier that I really, really like. Farriers are the people that trim horses' feet. And no, it does not hurt them. I hear that a lot, and I think it's weird. It's like the equivalent of their fingernails. Like, they don't feel it. I mean, I guess you could hurt them if you, like, cut all the way through it, which they don't. Anyway, he's a thoroughbred, and they're known to have thoroughbred feet. They have bad feet. And I'm like, I know they're not great, but, like, I feel like all the farriers I've had just, like, they just do a shitty job. And they're like, oh, he's a thoroughbred. And I was like, okay. And I've had, like, several, so I started to believe it. And then we ended up with this new guy at our farm. He's out there with his wife and his kid. And they're all just super charming. And he did such a good job. I don't think I've ever tipped someone so much in my life. I was like, oh, how much was the tip? What does it come out to? It was like a 40% tip. I pretty much just like added 50% at the end. I was like, because it's not very much in the first place. Like the average trimming is like 30 or 40 bucks in the area that I'm at. But anyway, it's just so nice to have people that are good with animals be good to your animals, you know? Keep them around. Alright, let's get to this detailing. Alright, I have dynamic turned on. Let's go ahead and turn that off, and I might just be able to close the entire thing. I like the holes, but I might be able to like get the same effect pretty much just by like carving material out. I'm okay with having actual holes on the tabard up here, but lower, I don't want like thickness. I really want it to be completely solid so I don't have to worry about it. And then Natalie mentioned I'm getting a lot of horse feet grooming videos on TikTok lately. Oh my god, I can't stop watching those. Yeah. No idea why the algorithm decided that content was for me, but it's interesting. Yeah, it must be just because you're talking to me at all and they're just like, oh, you know, crazy horse girl. Here, you will like this. No, they're super satisfying to watch. My other friends started getting them too. Walker, and he mentioned, he was like, I don't like watching them. I think they're gross and weird. And I don't get it at all. And I'm just like, you don't think it's satisfying at all? He's like, I knew you would like it. And I'm like, it's cool. Alrighty. What does close holes do? As expected, it completely closes the holes. Okay, what if I divide first and then close holes? Okay, at least poly paints where the holes would have been as a kind of like a marker of where I need to go, which, you know what? I think that's going to work out just fine. I am at only 160,000 points. Let's divide again. Now more than 500,000. I'm just going to carve this little area out manually. I just came up with a cool technique for sculpting tattered fabric too, which I was able to use elsewhere, but for here, I am just not going to use it. It's going to work out really well though. I'm not going to do a bunch of these holes on the back because you're not going to see them anyway. Oops, I missed. There we go. I feel like I should do this like a thicker fabric, but the type of like folds I'm doing right now are my favorite, and that's what I want to do. So that's just what he's gonna end up with. He's gonna have a very pretty drapey skirt. Once I add some of the weathering effects, it'll work out. They're so weirdly satisfying, right? And then Mario's asking, question, after you finish the model, how do you make it solid? It's already, like, as I finish each piece, like for instance the skirt right now, I'm already making it solid. But essentially my post-processing process is a quick and dirty way. It's just going to merge visible, close holes, if you haven't already done stuff like that, remesh by union, and then I decimate. I've used Blender, so I don't know what that looks like. I've used Blender very minimally. That's pretty much what the process looks like. Alright, I still should be able to use my snake hook brush with texture trick. So we did that. Now I'll grab snake hook. The other snake hook, not the second one. I don't like snake hook too. Yep, it works super well here as well. Perfect. Might need to make that texture a little deeper so this has something to grab onto, but it's working pretty good. Alright, there's some minor tears on that now. And then I would like to go through with the knife brush that had some rips on the edges, but I don't trust it, and especially when it's something high poly like this, it almost always throws a fit and crashes, so we're just not even going to go there. I'm just going to manually move some stuff around. I have perspective turned off, and I want this to end up being flat, so that's why I am taking some care to do a little bit of work ahead of time. I don't know why I'm noticing this stream, but the sound of your pen on your tablet is very ASMR today. I'm glad. There are some streams that I've watched, and I don't know if they just have like the world's loudest keyboard, but it drives me crazy. I'm listening to streams on like ZBrush, and I just hear like clacking the whole time, and I'm like, why are you punching your keys? Or conversely, why is your keyboard so loud? But I could see how like the gentle like scritchy sound would be nice. I have to put some detail on the back of this, even if no one's gonna look at it. This is looking much nicer than before. And then I'm just gonna put just a light texture on this whole thing, just for something the paint to catch. Mario, you mentioned that Haunted Horseman model earlier. This texture I'm using right now is that whole model, I swear. I just discovered this texture. Really, it's an alpha, but anyway. I used this offensively, just non-stop. It was on every single piece of that model. Offensively, egregiously, I think that's the word I was looking for. Whatever. A lot. I use it a lot. Much nicer. You can kind of see the before and after here. I think the tears came out kind of dumb, but I didn't want to like finesse them right now because they're so small. So I'm probably not going to worry about it. It's just nice having a little break in the texture. Poor Mia, who was there when I was first starting modeling in ZBrush. That's my keyboard. Damn near typewriter. I don't remember that being super annoying. Maybe I was just so focused like when you were live streaming what you were doing, because I also didn't know what I was doing, so I really wanted to know. I'm like, what is going on? I'm so focused on that. I need to add some sort of poly paint to the chains so they stand out. As of now, they just blend right in. So I'll probably use this little trick where I go to poly paint and then backface mask. And then you kind of get these neat. It only grabs like one side, whatever side you're looking at. Where do I want the highlights from? Probably from this side. Get a nice angle. Gotta kind of like finesse it a little bit. And then I'll go in to the darker side, push it a tiny bit darker, and then create like fake shadows from the other side. I spend so much time poly painting. I don't think it's that much time, but then I realized it does really matter. And I had someone after watching a stream once be like, "Oh, cool! Like, where can I get one of your models?" And I was just like, "Oh, they're 3D printable." And they were like, "How come no one prints them with color?" And I'm like, "Oh, honey, there are not 3D printers with color right now." But obviously, I can absolutely see why they thought there were. They obviously followed up with, "Why do you paint them then?" I'm like, "'Cause it's fun, and I'm an artist." You know, one thing I wasn't prepared for being an artist full-time is telling people that I'm an artist full-time. So for anyone watching doesn't know, I have my bachelor's in mechanical engineering. So I went for years, people asking like, "Oh, what's your name? What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm majoring in mechanical engineering." And when you say that, especially as a woman, you kind of get this reaction of like, "Oh, wow," And I kind of got addicted to that. I was like, yeah, Yeah, I'm super cool. And now, like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm an artist. And they're like, oh, you're an artist. I'm like, no, I like make cool shit. And I'm not starving. I actually make a lot of money. I'm doing very well. But that just sounds like you're bragging at that point. And I'm like, oh, I've already lost them. That's okay. And I've kind of started saying that I do 3D design now instead. And they're like, oh, like AutoCAD? And I'm like, sure. Which is just back to engineering pretty much. But it is so much harder to explain than you'd think. I understand artist is very vague. Like, what does that even mean, you know? But I also don't like when you ask people what they do for a living and they like give you this like super ultra specific answer. And I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like they'd say like they're like a water sanitation specialist. And I'm like, so you're like a sewer guy? Like you do plumbing? Like, why don't you just say that? You know what I mean? I broke ZBrush every day. Yeah, Clute, I did too. In the beginning there, I could crash it for just by looking at it wrong, it would crash. Then Mario said, yeah, that was my favorite model. Oh, the Haunted Horseman. I also printed your Elf Mage, thinking back. I went out print minis for D&D campaign. Very nice. Fun fact, that campaign gave my girlfriend the idea for me to go back to school and become a history teacher, so thank you. That's so cool. Oh my goodness. Very, very cool. I get good history teacher vibes from you. I feel like you're going to be a great history teacher. One of my favorite teachers of all time was my history teacher, and I didn't like the class. I really didn't, but like, he liked history so much, and he was so passionate about it that it kind of rubbed off. I was like, you know what? This is cool. Whenever you have a teacher that actually likes the subject, it really helps. And then Xander's here. Hello. And then Clute says, I'm like the bizarre Mia. Went to school for art, and now I'm working for an aerospace engineering firm. Yeah, that's like the full 360. That makes no sense, my man. I love that. You know, I initially went into mechanical engineering because I wanted to do biomedical engineering. But the school that I went to didn't have it, so. And I knew that too. I only applied to 2 schools, so. I don't know why I even said I wanted to do that, because I didn't apply anywhere where I could study that. Again, like, most places you don't, like, major in biomedical engineering. Like, you go through, like, normal engineering, and at the end you kind of, like, specialize or something, but. I hope you're able to do art full-time at some point. This looks pretty spooky, guys. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know if I can add much more to the design without taking away from it, you know? This definitely deserves its own custom base, though, to complete it and make it really interesting. I think for this project of the 7, I might create interesting little pillars for all of them. But since this is initially releasing as the grand finale for 31 Days of Spooky, so I won't worry about that yet. Mostly because I hate making bases, I'm just pushing it off. But yes. Does this group have a Discord server? Yeah, it does. It's related to... It's all part of my Patreon stuff, and it says, like, my Patreon server. But, like, I own it. I can put whoever I want in it. Anyone that's watching, feel free to join it. I post my projects and stuff. Where is my Discord? There's a little, like, spooky pumpkin instead of Discord. I think it's just loading. Why is it taking so long? There we go. I got an invite for y'all. Bam. But yeah, come join, hang out. There's a lot of people there that... Like, I'm good at 3D printing, but there are people there that, like, can look at your failed print with no information and just be like, oh, this specific setting, go from 1 to 0.2, and they just know it. It's really cool. He is still shredded as fuck. I know, he is now more shredded. So, Xander saw the first live stream for this, and I'm like, yes, I want him to be, like, muscly, but, like, emaciated. And then he turned out to just get more and more buff. Like, I kind of got, like, the stretched skin look, but, like... No, he just looks terrifying. I like it. I freaking love it. I love this, like, dramatic impossibly long, like anime-esque torso too. I can't resist. It's so cool. Clute said that slight tonal shift on the chains, a solid improvement I didn't even know it needed. Right? Just like a little highlight of like, hey, look at this. Look at this. A pillar base would rule. Yeah, no, I agree. So yes. Small shout out to Xander, who was there for the first live stream and gave some like kind of comments on like the body and stuff. You also mostly made funny jokes, but I still enjoyed it a lot. Clute mentioned making the head, moving it higher up to give this neck, and Natalie pretty much helped me completely reinvent the horns. So, like, specific shout out to all three of y'all, because like you helped make this design what it is, and I really, really appreciate that. Mario says, I'd love to join. I got the Photon Zero that your channel recommended, and it's what Print Minis from. Well, sick. Bam. There is the link. Should show on your side, because I am the admin. Because I know y'all can't post links unless I make you, like, not an admin. Not a bot. There was a word I'm looking for. A mod. There we go, moderator. Xander says, likes the long fingers. Yeah, me too. I put these ridiculous claws on every model I make, so I finally resisted the urge to put claws on him, and instead made the fingers so long to look like claws anyway. Whatever. It's an it's an improvement for me. I'm changing things up. Natalie, one of us. One of us. Natalie, I don't know if you were here earlier, but Mario said that the first mini he printed, or one of, if not the first, was the Haunted Horseman I have on Thingiverse. How freaking cool is that? Oh my god. When people tell me like, oh yeah, the first thing I'm printing was your model, I was like, oh my god, that's crazy. And then you guys tell me it's like an earlier model of mine. I'm like, I hope it printed okay for you. Like, I have made hundreds of 3D printable models at this point. My stuff prints, it looks fantastic. But the first like 50 or so, I mean, y'all, I've improved since, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know everything then. I still don't know everything then. But, there's models I look back on where I'm like, that is a nightmare to print. What? On the flip side, I get so, like, not, like, defensive. I just get annoyed. Even people ask, like, innocent questions of, like, oh, are you worried about the thickness on this or whatever? And I'm like, bitch, I have printed thousands of minis, most of them being mine. Just for my first Kickstarter project, I printed over 350 models and shipped them all over the world. I never did that again. It took forever. It was a nightmare, honestly. Not because the prints didn't print, but because I had to then post-process and then wrap all of them. Anyway, long story short, my models are good. I pledged my loyalty to House M3DM. I like it. Your little Wood Elf Ranger was one of the first models I printed. Not the first, but definitely early. Oh, that's so cool. Yeah, so she was a big deal. The one with the little skinny scimitar. Again, she was only on 1 foot too, so that was one of the more questionable 3D prints, design-wise, but I don't regret her at all. She was actually a commission for a girl in Sweden, and this woman was so freaking nice to me. Oh my goodness. She was just like a joy to work with. It's hard to explain. Like, I did good work. I turned it in on time, as I said, but, I don't know, even just like over email, her tone of writing, I don't know like what I'm trying to say. I don't know, she had a very just like sweet way of talking, and it was a huge confidence boost for me as an artist early on. It was super, super nice. I didn't have a ton of clients like her early on, because I priced my models so cheap, my commissions. I was doing commissions for like $30, $20. Now they're like $300, and if you annoy me, it doubles. I am not kidding, by the way. But yeah, she was awesome. She was super awesome. Now, a lot of people ask me how much my commissions are. I'm like, it depends how much I like you and what you're asking for. If I like you a lot and you're asking me to sculpt like an elf, I love doing that. It'll be as cheap as possible. If I don't like you very much and you're unclear, I probably won't take your commission at all. But if I do, you ask me to make like, I don't know, what's something I wouldn't like to make? Probably like a mech of some sort. I think sci-fi is very cool, but I don't have a lot of experience making it. then I'll charge you like $500. Just how it works. And then Xander says, I think I used the job I commissioned you for my new printer. Oh, cool. Oh, yeah. So I forgot to mention this. I don't know how. Xander is one of the first people that ever commissioned me. You actually commissioned my friend more than me, I think. We kind of worked together as a team there in the beginning. But you were fantastic, too. Oh, my God. You're like the best kind of client. Because it's just like, I just send you updates and you're like, yeah, looks good. And I'm like, do you need any changes? You're like, you can do this, but... You're just so chill. And then when you do want changes, you just tell me specifically what you want, which is really nice. You'd be surprised, a lot of people can't do that. And then Clute said, playing my Shidarkai Blade Singer in a local D&D game tonight. Sick. Mario says, you mentioned you ship all over the world. How do you calculate shipping? Also, what resin is best for printing in your opinion? Yeah, I don't print anymore. Like, well, I still print, but I don't, like, ship them out. But the way I calculate shipping is if it's in the United States, it's pretty much $5, easy. And then if it's out of the United States, I usually default to at least $10. If I really want to cover my ass, just in case, I say 15. As far as for resin, as of now, there's so much cool stuff out there. Your best bet, if you're doing it like commercially, you can do a mix of a really, really strong resin like Sararia Tech. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I've never said that word out loud before. Sararia. It's S-I-R-A-Y-A. Anyway, it's very cool stuff. It's Sararia Blue, I think. You can mix that with another resin and get like a really strong blend, or just print straight Sararia, but it's kind of expensive, so it's nice when you mix it. But I use Anycubic gray resin religiously for like everything. It doesn't have to be Anycubic. It could be a Legu. My personal bias is towards a Legu. I've worked with Anycubic before, and they were kind of rude. I've worked with a Legu, and they've just been so nice. Lego is a fantastic company as an artist to work from. Like, they took my stuff without credit and I like complained at them, and they not only like fixed it, they went above and beyond and then hired me for a personal project and paid me well. Good company. And yeah, Xander, it was $30. Yeah, I would charge you like $300 for that model now. That being said, like, it wasn't $300 quality then. You know what I mean? I've gotten a lot better. Let's see. And then Clute's responding, yeah, navy gray with Tenacious. Yeah, there's Sararia Tech. Thank you. Perfect. Yeah, Tenacious is the really hardcore one. Also really cool stuff. Good questions, guys. Very good questions. I didn't expect this to finish so quickly. The model, I really thought I had a lot more to do on this. I'm not sure. Yeah, it only took me an hour. God, he looks super cool. Yeah, we're gonna save this. Took a nice little break and I'm coming back to it. I could develop the details on the back a bit more, but again, it's just so not the focal point. There, just kind of get more of a blend there. Yeah, this is done. This is pretty much where it's going to be. I will put a little cylinder on it. Otherwise, I will not remember to make a pillar base for it. I will completely forget. I want to show you guys another project I'm working on. And, it's only Natalie has seen these so far, and they're totally unrelated to the kind of work I normally make. Xander, you might remember this. One of the first like models I ever made were like these little cat beans, and they're super cute. And now I've renamed them the cat loaves. But I've been making these little cute like cat side models in my free time. This is how I like unwind. And I love them. So this is my little witch and wizard. I'm also gonna do like a zombie, a vampire. I'm gonna do a little Halloween set and release them. At first I was like, oh, it's kind of unrelated, maybe patrons wouldn't want them. And I'm like, these would be like perfect little easy 3D prints. It'd be good presents. But yeah, I'm also doing these little guys. Xander said, okay, so I need 300 to have you remake them. Honestly, Xander, if you wanted a model from me, you asked really nicely, it's something that I wanted, I'd probably just make it, honestly. But yeah. Puffy kitties. Aren't they cute? Oh my god, I love them. They're so cute. They make my brain happy. Yeah, they'd be very cute tree ornaments, right? And Maniac's here. Base thickness. Do you wing it, or is there a standard bases? It's 3 millimeters, roughly. But no, I've been using the exact same base, pretty much, like the simple base, since like... I actually made it in SolidWorks, I think. And then remade it later in ZBrush. But, yeah, it's about 3 millimeters, I think. They're so cute. I don't know what I want to work on right now. I know I have other things to do, but I'm just like completely drawing a blank on what do I do? What do I make? Again, I really thought Wrath was going to take a lot longer, and he did not. So yes. Oh, this is a model that'll be coming out for pages. This was a commission that I did. He's spooky. He's not as shredded as Wrath, but he's decently shredded. Spooky. This was commissioned from Backwater Games. They are super nice and super fantastic. They're actually commissioning me to do a model that I will be using for Curse Forest, and I told them about it, and they were not only like cool with it, which we talked about copyright before, but I was like, hey, what if I list you as like a sponsor? And they were super excited about that too. And I'm like, you are easy to work with, and I love you. All right. Also, I need to get started on their model as well. Well, I think this is the excellent grand finale for Spooky. Can look at it without poly paint really quick. This is always kind of nice just to see like how deep are those lines, how well will that print. Yeah, this is gonna look fantastic. Again, I haven't blended the hands into the arms yet, but other than that, this guy's done, ready to go. Oh, I was gonna put a sword through his chest. I forgot. Yeah, Wrath's heart sword. Right. I'm thinking about it. I initially really wanted to do that, but now that I have it done, I'm not as sure about it. I might as well see what it looks like. Mario says, Wrath actually looks like a part of Inspiration and Pyramid Head. I love it. I can see it. And then Epic says, drop some pics to my Vecna and current project in the Discord channel. Oh, cool. Yeah, I want to see what you're working on. And then I will wave to Mario. Oh yeah, it looks super nice. That is very ornate and very, very fancy. Alright. Alright, I have a lot of swords and stuff. I would probably make a custom sword for this. But since I just want to see what the concepts can look like, let's just take one from my asset library. It is a weapon. Where's weapon? There it is. Alright. I have new sword and nice sword. Man, I really do not label these well. It's the same sword. I saved the same sword. Okay. Whatever. I don't super like either of those swords. Yeah, this will work just fine, just as a test. They're the same picture. Yes. So this was kind of my plan, initially. Being stabbed in the back. I would make a new sword, but the blade would pretty much look the same. But I'd give it a new guard. Probably. Maybe I wouldn't. Sometimes I'm lazy. Xander is quoting Bon Jovi in the chat. I'm trying to position this just right so that from pretty much the silhouette will still read clearly. As of right now, the way the hilt kind of touches like tangentially to like this hip guard and stuff, I'm not sure if it's reading super well, but depending how I poly paint it will also help with that. Yeah, I like the guard being... That makes it a little easier to see. It's very, very sensitive to angle. Alright, I'm kind of curious what you guys think about this. I'm not necessarily going to follow, but I'm going to ask anyway. So how do we feel about the sword through his chest? I have a little poll in the chat right now. Sword or no sword? I'm kind of leaning towards no sword. However, I do think the sword through his chest really like completes the character, so I'm feeling very conflicted. I'd like to know what you guys think. I think if I made a sword that was a little more menacing looking, because this one currently looks so like, I don't know, elegant. I'm thinking if I made a new blade that had like a serrated edge, where pretty much if he was trying to pull it back out, it would, you know, the serrades point towards him. So it'd be extremely painful. He would just like, okay, stuck with a sword in his chest forever. All right. We got some sword, some no sword. Adam says, I voted no, but I like both. I get you. Xander mentioned it adds something missing in the chest. I kind of agree. Again, I'm feeling very conflicted on this. Yeah, I don't think that the chest looks like something's missing though, because it's so well detailed and developed. If anything, it's a nice like focal point. Yeah, it looks like most people are agreeing with no sword. Dude, these polls give me, like, some peace of mind. Okay, now we're getting more even, 50-50. Adam says, like, I feel like this is him in his prime versus Wounded and Reborn. Yeah. I'll get to more, like, context. This is supposed to be, like, this is my interpretation of Wrath from the 7 Deadly Sins. So I'm trying to think of, I'm going to do all 7. This is just the first model in that project. And then Mario said, maybe if the chest was more puffed up. I do think, it's already enlarged the chest a little bit, but developing it further and bringing it out even more, I do think is still a good idea. But again, I don't want him looking like a bodybuilder. Like, he already looks, like, shredded, guys. I don't want him to look too puffed up, you know? I want him to look wiry and wrathful, you know? Angry. Alright. We're currently 7 votes in, 43% sword, 57% no sword. I could just offer both versions, you know? I like the no sword idea mainly because it's less work for me. always do a poll on Patreon and see what they think too. But I'm already posting there once a day with 31 Days of Spooky, which I'm sure is getting annoying at this point. And I don't want to post twice in a day. I already did that yesterday for Greek mythology. Speaking of, is a small... We are now 50-50 for sword, no sword. Y'all, this is less helpful. I think it's like a preference thing, you know? Like, if I think of it in terms of the character, I think it completes the character more, because again, like, Wrath and being stabbed from the back gives, like, you know, it puts a story behind the character. I think I'm gonna have to go with the sword, guys. Yeah, Natalie says, sword kind of tells a story, right? And then Epic mentioned, Joe Mad does a good job at skinny buff on Death from Darksiders. Very true. Mario said, or instead of, like, puffy, more like pump the chest, like I'm moving the shoulder blades back. I already have the push pretty far back. I know what you're saying. I totally know what you're saying. You can kind of tell from this angle how much they're starting to be brought back. I probably could go even further. All right, we're gonna just stamp this on there as well. Also, I think you guys are able to change your answers if you wanted to. And then Xander said, why would patrons dislike more content? Oh yeah, no, they'd probably like having both options. I meant, like, I just don't like posting a ton, like, in the same day. Like, I don't know. I don't like getting tons of emails, you know? So, I like to stick with just, like, one post a day, max. A lot of them support multiple people on Patreon, too. Alright, so let's just bring that... So I'm pretty much just pushing the adjustments that I've already made just a little bit further. So bringing the shoulder blades back and bringing the chest out just a little bit. It's pretty minor, but I think it will complement the sword better. Yeah, it was a pretty minor adjustment overall, but I like it. Mario said, I mean on the sword one. Yeah, the sword is still there. I can just show it and hide it. And I think your suggestions would work well for either. I'm also going to curve the neck just a little bit more. Just a little bit. Spooky. Mario said, if you're getting stabbed in the back, maybe move the angle of the chest towards the direction and up in the same direction as the sword, like lifting the chest. No, I'm not going to do that. I like that. He's not actively being bothered by this sword. He is, like, impaled for life, not like he was just stabbed. And Clute says, yeah, I tend to push the poses to the point of breaking, and then much like my comic book influence. Yeah, it's a good way of doing it. Can you imagine being doomed for all eternity to have a sword in your back? That'd make me pretty wrathful. I'd be pretty cranky about that, you know? You know, this would give me an excuse to make, like, a properly spooky sword, too. Though I do like this glowing white color that I have, because it, I don't know, it feels like a sword of, like, justice. It's just along that vein of, like, what it'd be like to be immortal, and just like, I feel like that'd be a bad time, you know? Yeah, I'm gonna look at some swords on Pinterest, and, Yeah, he's got to have the sword, guys. It really fits well with the little striations I made on his chest anyway. Looks like the skin's pulling right there, so it naturally fits, and it really completes the rest of the story. I don't just want a cool character, I want something that tells a little bit more of a story, so I think that's what we're going to end up doing. And Mario, having a sword in the back must be a pain in the back, right? Xander said the sword is just part of his life now, like an animal that adopted him. And that is kind of more the vibe that I wanted to have, too. So that's why I didn't want to... Mario, your suggestions were good, as if he had just been, like, stabbed, you know? But I don't want it... I almost want him to just act like it's not even there, you know? Xander, again, thank you for reminding me about the sword in the first place. This was the initial concept that I had, and I completely forgot about it. Yeah, y'all, it's gotta have the sword. I do love that the poll came out 50-50 though. That's hilarious. And hey, you guys were still helpful even. Alright. And then Clute mentioned maybe some corruption radiating from the sword. What would that even look like? Like little tentacles? I think that might read a little unclear. Adding some poly paint to complement what's happening here is gonna really help. I have got to do a new sword for this though. This is just not, it's not spooky enough, guys. I think having a serrated edge is gonna make this look super nice. It's already killer. I love this model. This is just gorgeous. Yes, Xander the King. Okay, the sword reads a lot more clearly than I thought too. I was so concerned about it not making any sense. From the front, it looks a little funny, but the whole point of the model is to be from a side view, so it's whatever. Okay. Right now, I am just making a couple of renders here that I will then eventually become the thumbnail for this. And then Clute elaborated, he said, like dark veins radiating from the wound. Ah, kind of similar to what I did for his hands. That would bring, and this is a little more subtle, but that would definitely bring another nice detail element. And it's a texture I already have elsewhere on the model. Yes, that is a good idea. I really appreciate how well articulated you guys are too. Like you give a suggestion, I'll be like, what do you mean? Or I'll be like, no. Like I can say no and you guys don't get offended or weird about it. You'll just like elaborate. I really like that. God, look at this spooky boy. Holy crap. Spooky, man. So cool. Okay, I know that this render set that I have, it's a radial overlay, totally blows it out and it's like way overexposed. I don't care, it looks cool as hell. Keeping it. Cool. And now, just really quick, because what you suggested, Clute, is really easy to do. Gonna add some color. And just kind of see what that's gonna look like. Is this the highest subdiv level already? Yes, I'm already at 5 million points. We're just gonna vibe here. I'm not gonna add more. Be a very small detail. You know, it's not gonna matter. It's a cool concept. But the time versus effort versus final product, nah, it's looking good where it's at. Spooky boy. And I'm still going to keep the idea in my mind, though, because it's still a really good idea, and I might think of a way to do it that I want. Like, you know what? One more thing I want to try. Instead of manually doing it with standard, let's do what I did with the hands, like I just mentioned. Duh. Take a little bit of finessing. Something more like that. That's a little too exaggerated. But we're just trying things out. Well, now that I've seen it, it's too cool not to do. Just a little something. This is pretty subtle. So I might as well just leave it there, because it's definitely not taking away from the design. It's definitely nice. And I also want to take a rounder alpha here with a really high intensity and just carve out a line next to where the sword is. Is back face mask turned on? Why is this acting funny? In that case, I won't do that. It's acting a little different than I expected. Alright, that super subtle detail was really nice, Clue. Thank you. Gross. Even spookier. Gosh, this poor creature I made, it's like every day is his new worst day of his life. Woof. Nice. Well, cool. I'm gonna do some research on a cool spooky sword that I can do. Probably not gonna live stream it because it's not really something that I'm as good at, which means there will be lots of me Googling stuff, seeing best techniques, and I'm always looking for new things. And yeah, that doesn't make for a very interesting live stream if I'm just watching YouTube videos on how to do the thing I'm about to do. Oh, and then Clue elaborated, if you use the orb cracks brush, great brush. To accent the cracks, make some snake hook to have broken shards. Going back over the sword, that could be interesting. Or having like, even like little bits of like his flesh that are trying to connect back to the sword. It's very gross. These are good ideas, guys. I keep trying to end the live stream. And you're like, oh, what about this fantastic idea? And I'm like, well, I have to try it. I do appreciate it. Yeah, Xander, I'm actually thinking specifically of the sword that I made for you like years ago. Something more in that style is exactly what I have in mind. Anyway, you guys are distracting, but in the best way. I am going to go get a snack, refill my coffee, and make some swords. So yeah, but not on live stream. I'll be back in a couple days. Maybe even tomorrow. We'll see. I live stream a lot more often now. That's everything, isn't it? I have a cute little end card for you guys to look at too. If you don't already, you should support me on Patreon. I love you guys here, but I also like money so I can do this and pay bills. Anyway, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you around.